Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Chakit from VAC Global Education. Today, I've got two esteemed guests with us, Dr. Haley Sparks and Asta Kapoor. They are from AcademyEx, and they are going to help us understand how the admission criteria work for AcademyEx. They're going to help us understand how the admission process is and the courses they have to offer, and anything and everything you guys want to ask, you can write it in the chat section so that we can answer all of those questions right from the people responsible for your career growth. So welcome everyone. And let's start with the session with the introduction. So, guys, if you can introduce yourself and talk about the roles, what you are doing at AcademyEx.
I'm happy to go first. So my name is Asta, and I work as International Liaison Lead at AcademyEx, which in a nutshell means I work very closely with our international learners. I usually am the first point of contact for our international learners, but that does not mean I wouldn't be involved once they're on campus. So I'm always available from the beginning to the time they enroll and they start their journey with us. So I do come with some experience in an international recruitment space. And now I'm working in New Zealand. My prior experiences from US. Do understand what education recruitment looks like and what student expectations are. So there to guide them and help them through the journey.
Amazing.
Thanks, Asta. Good morning, everybody. My name is Haley. I'm the Director of Academic Quality here at AcademyEx. In a nutshell, taking on Asta's language, my job is responsible for all of the accredited qualifications that we deliver, from master's level through to a micro-credential level, ensuring that we deliver the best possible student experience that we can, that we comply with all rules and regulations. And I also get the fun job of working one-on-one with students as well throughout their master's journey. So I advise students on two of the masters that we have, which is the best part of my job, and the most rewarding part of my job, getting to see your ideas and your and students' ideas come to life. I also develop new programs as well, so know all of these master's programs super well. So hopefully any questions that you have, I will be able to answer tonight. So looking forward to the conversation.
Perfect. Amazing. So let's start with a little bit more about AcademyEx, that how they are aligned with the needs of international student and how these courses which you guys have to offer, how they are aligned with the job market. Uh, how easy is it to get the job after doing these courses? Because that is the prime objective of the student, that they want to get into the job market as soon as they complete the course. So let's address the elephant in the room.
Yeah, so I can probably make a start and then Asta can jump in. So AcademyEx is a private training establishment located in Auckland, New Zealand. We're the only private training establishment delivering only postgraduate education in New Zealand. So we hold a pretty unique position within the market. We deliver 3 master's programs: Master of Technological Futures, Master of Change and Organizational Resilience, and Master of Contemporary Education. So all of these programs have some common characteristics. They are all very practical and applied. They are all very practice-based and industry-based. They are all interdisciplinary, and they are all driven to support students to, I guess, think about what the future looks like, and think about what they want their future to look like, what they, their industries, their organizations might look like. And so when it comes to jobs, one of the most, I guess, interesting things that makes these programs unique and special, and the connections that you build so strong, is that all of our students come with significant professional experience before enrolling in the masters. So most of our students have 10 plus years of experience in their career. And so with that, you bring all of that knowledge. So these are not programs where there is a specific job or a specific outcome. That outcome can look different for every student depending on not only what they do in their project and their research, but where they have come before. So we want students to bring all of that with them into the classroom, into the workshops and live online sessions that we deliver, and really kind of expand on that. So for some students, it does look like getting a job in the same field, but in New Zealand. For some students, the whole intention is to change their career. So they might get a job in a completely different sector. For some students, it's about starting their own business. For other students, it's about maybe changing not necessarily the organization they work for, but the type of job that they do. So there are not really specific job outcomes of these programs for a variety of reasons, but the idea is that they can use the learning to leverage employment opportunities depending on their prior experience as well.
So
Asta, do you have anything?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I think Haley has covered everything, but if I could just add a little bit from my Asian lens, having stayed in India, I've studied in India. So something which is very different that we offer at AcademyEx is the practical learning experience, the way we deliver the programs. Whereas a lot of programs are very theoretical, ours is more on practical learning experience. Ours is more collaborative, where they come and they get to experiment. So they have the flexibility to choose how they want to experiment or how they want to go with their research, and then deliver something which can be tangible. Or like they can, as Haley said, they could start their own business or implement that research in their organization. So that is something which is very unique and very different from other delivery models.
Perfect. Sounds great. So moving on to the courses which you guys have to offer, what is the general eligibility criteria like with the work experience? What is the percentage requirement? What is your the IELTS requirement, all those things? Because for the master's program, you have some high standards. So students wants to know about that as well. So what would be the eligibility criteria to get into these courses?
Yeah, so there are two ways or two pathways into these programs. One is an academic qualification pathway, so having a qualification equivalent to level 7 on the New Zealand qualifications framework, which is essentially equivalent to a bachelor's degree in New Zealand. So having a degree plus at least 2 years relevant work experience. And so that's where the past professional experience comes in. And so having both is part of the eligibility criteria. If a student doesn't have a previous qualification, it doesn't necessarily mean they cannot apply for a program like this, but you would need at least 5 years relevant work experience, but oftentimes a lot more. And what we will do is we will assess that work experience, get a whole lot of documentation as being equivalent to a bachelor's degree. So we don't want to exclude people who might not have had opportunities to do tertiary education in the past. And so you're drawing on, some people might have 10 or 15 years work experience, and you learn a lot through that. And so we can assess that as being equivalent. So either or, an academic bachelor's degree equivalent and at least 2 years work experience, or at least 5 years work experience. No matter which of those pathways you take, the English language requirements stay the same. So these English language requirements are the same as any other master's degree accredited by the New Zealand Qualifications Authority. So universities in New Zealand have their own rules, and New Zealand Qualifications Authority accredited organisations have a different set of rules. So for master's level, IELTS of 6.5 with no band lower than 6, Asta, correct me if I'm wrong, and PTE being the other most common English language test that we see, 58 in total and no band lower than 50. Is that right, Asta? There are some instances where, depending on prior qualifications, an English language test may not be required. All of those are outlined and we can provide details of that, but otherwise we have to follow the rules of the New Zealand Qualifications Authority.
Amazing. Perfect. I remember when I met Astha at the Auckland campus, she particularly mentioned that we don't want to be a visa house for people to just get into the country.
Mhm.
So at the time, since the entry requirements are flexible, so how do you guys filter out the good student from all the students you get? So what
Yeah,
kind?
great question. Yeah, great question. So as part of your part of an application, you submit an online application form, provide all the documentation, and then you will go through an interview process. So the first interview conversation with Asta, and that helps to make sure that the program is a good fit. And then the second interview being with one of our academic faculty. So it's usually the program lead of the program that you're applying for. And that conversation serves a few purposes. It's for us to get to know the student, for the student to get to know us, to talk
Okay.
about the program, understand what the student wants to achieve from the program, and then talk about how the program is delivered, what that looks like, but also equally an opportunity for students to ask us questions, because it's not just about us making sure the program is the right fit for the student, but the student making sure we are the right fit for them. And to your point around not wanting just everybody, we want to make sure that the program that you're applying for is going to help you achieve your goals. Otherwise, kind of what's the point in learning? It's not learning for learning's sake, but if you have a specific goal in mind, we want to make sure that the programs will help you achieve that goal so that you right from the beginning are set up for success and not halfway through think, oh, I'm not sure if this is the right program for me. So that's what those conversations, the purpose of those conversations. And then through that, we can make sure that the program's going to be the right fit and that the student's going to be successful at AcademyEx.
Amazing. That's set up the ground like who will it's easier for the student to decide like what their learning outcomes going to be, what kind of career they can choose after doing these particular course. I have a specific question. Like if somebody is from non-business, non-tech background and wants to apply for leadership or tech-oriented program, how easy it will be for them to navigate through the course and landing up a job in the future? Because I had a student, she has done BA, then she did MBA in marketing, and she is from psychology background, and now she's confused like what kind of course should I take to go in New Zealand? Because
Mhm.
from tech background, for her to do business analytics or courses in where there's a lot of business background is required. So how does these course fit in into her profile? If you can just help me understand that.
Yeah, sure. So, as I said earlier, these programs are all very interdisciplinary. So, all of our students come from different backgrounds. So, some of them might be a psychologist, they might have a marketing background, they might have a business background, they might be a business owner. And what these programs are about, I guess, if I give an example, the Master of Technological Futures is all about not technical skills. It's not about learning to code. It's not about IT. It's not about network security or anything like that. It's about the application of technology. So if that particular person was interested in the application of not so AI or blockchain or big data to marketing, then they would be able to pursue that as an area of interest throughout the program, and they would get insight into a whole lot of other areas. If that same person, their actual aspiration was to understand how to navigate change better or how to be a leader or how to move into leadership positions, then they could equally do the Master of Change and Organizational Resilience and work through leadership and people and culture, and technology as a driver of change and ethics and things like that. So it's really not necessarily about a person's background. That is important, but it's also about what are they interested in? What do they want to achieve? Because we know that, for example, I have a Bachelor of Science, I have a Master of Science. I don't work in science. I never did. And so it's actually about what do you want to achieve through the learning than necessarily relying on previous qualifications that you have to form the foundation. So that's where that person's professional experience as a marketer, as a psychologist, as whatever they are, is what they bring to the classroom. It's not necessarily the prior academic knowledge that they bring that will be helpful. It will, of course, help them, but it's not compulsory.
Perfect. Perfect.
If I could just add a little bit to Haley's point, one good thing is when they're coming with work experience, they can identify the gap, maybe the gaps they've seen in their professional journey so far, and that could be their research topic as well. So that it makes it very critical for them to come with that work experience and identify if they come from tech background, but they think they want to learn leadership skills, they can enroll in Masters of Change and Organizational Resilience and vice versa. So it's all about identifying that gap and then choosing the program that sits with their future goals.
Amazing. Amazing. So, how difficult is the research part in this course? Because, like people in India, especially the student, they are used to mugging up things, remembering them, and just writing the exam. But when it
Mhm.
comes to doing the research in particular, where they have to apply their real thinking skills and then jotting it down into a research paper, how difficult it is for them to complete this requirement of the research.
Yeah, I would say, and we've had these comments from our current international students that coming and learning in the way that we do here at AcademyEx, which is very, very different. I won't won't lie. It is very practical, hands-on, discussion-based. The students are as much experts as the facilitators, the lecturers, if you want to call them that. And it's not about kind of rote learning from a textbook or anything like that. So it's not to say that it's impossible, because it definitely is not. It just requires a really open mind. So if a student's coming with a really open mind about how they're going to learn and what they're going to learn about, then that is the key, I guess, one of the key characteristics of our students, because then you can kind of immerse yourself in that learning experience. You can engage with your peers, you can engage with the content, you can, participate in the hands-on workshops, you can participate in discussions, and there is lots of scaffolded support throughout as well for the research. So each student spends 12 weeks through 3 months developing their research proposal. You get an advisor who supports you one-on-one to help you develop your proposal, and that then allows you to set the foundations for implementing your project. So implementing your project does require quite a lot of independent study and a lot of independent work, but that's what master's level is about. It's a step up from undergrad, definitely, and being able to plan a project, implement it, engage with key stakeholders, analyze your data, explore the literature that already exists, draw it all together, come up with some solutions. It does require a different set of skills, but if you come with an open mind, that's key, I think. There's lots of wraparound support, lots of academic support, lots of pastoral care. We're getting a good kind of cohort of alumni of international students who have been through the process, so they're really happy and open to share their learnings about coming into a different education system, navigating that. And I'll say it's not just our international students who have to learn a new way of learning. Our domestic students do as well, because undergrad does look very much like lectures, and exams and essays and exams and things like that. So there's a lot more freedom, a lot more independence, but with that comes a lot more opportunity, I think, as well.
Amazing. And this course also, like from the future outcomes and the experience what they can get in New Zealand, the students are allowed to work full time while they study.
Yes, so this is in Masters Research categorised by the New Zealand Qualifications Authority. So it's a research-based Masters because it has 90 credits at level 9. So from an immigration perspective, that means that a student visa has unrestricted work right. We always talk to students in interview and pre-interview with ASTA about the importance of balancing work and study. And so just because your visa says you can work work more than 20 hours a week doesn't necessarily mean that's the best thing to do. we acknowledge that you need to be able to support yourself and you need your family if they come with you, and having a job is another way of, I guess, immersing yourself in New Zealand and building new connections and new relationships. And so it has definitely its advantages, but the trick is balancing it with the study commitments as well. So the programs can be done in 2 durations, 14 months or 18 months. 14 months is very intense. Like they do your research project in 20 weeks, and that is very intense. So working full-time is definitely not an option. But in the 18-month duration, you have a little bit more time to do your research project. You have 40 weeks to do your research project. And so with that can come some flexibility to be able to work part-time. And a lot of our students do work part-time. Very few of them work full-time. And in fact, some of them who were trying to work full-time are now very thankful that they are not, because they have a lot more time to put into their study. And kind of thank us for our advice later, even though the actual, the idea of working full-time might sound really appealing. Balancing that with study and settling in a new country is a lot for one person to handle.
I understand. I understand perfectly. Thank you for pointing it out, because a lot of students get enticed with the working full-time rights, and then they eventually struggles with their academics, and that's not a good thing.
No.
Perfect. And what about the scholarships? Because students are keen to save bit of a money when it comes to the tuition fees. So what scholarships do we have for the international students? What are the ways to apply for the scholarships? And do they receive the scholarship with the offer letter, or do they receive it afterwards? How does that work?
Yes, so Esther, feel free to jump in anytime. We have one scholarship type for international students, an academic excellence scholarship. So there are a limited number of scholarships per intake. So how to apply for that is through our website. And what we look for is your previous academic results, results of English language tests, and then there is a form to fill in which has a few questions about, tell us a little bit about yourself, how would the scholarship support you, what do you think this program will help you to achieve. That all gets reviewed by a panel, a scholarship panel, and a decision is made. So scholarships currently close 6 months before the intake. 6 or 4, Asa?
It would be 4. So we, and we've just extended it for the October intake till the end of July. So if anyone here is looking for scholarship and is interested in joining October intake, they still have that option.
Okay,
Yeah,
so what till when they can apply for scholarship?
The 31st of July for the October intake. Yeah. So in terms of the relationship between a scholarship and an offer letter, it depends on when they apply, obviously. But students they will only receive a scholarship if they've been accepted into the program. And so they will have an offer letter, but they might get them at the same time. They might get them at different times, depending on the timeline of their enrollment.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. And how much is the amount? Like, if you can just
Good question. So the scholarship is 25% off the tuition fees. So for the October intake, it means the scholarship is the value of 11,000 New Zealand dollars. So it means the fees are 33,000 New Zealand dollars instead of 44,000 New Zealand dollars.
amazing, amazing. That saves a lot of money.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now let's move on to the career outcomes and the impact. So, what kind of roles do students take up after graduating from AcademyEx, and what kind of industries they can get into?
Yeah, so as I was mentioning before, this is a little bit dependent on students' previous career. But as some examples of our students, they've come from very many different industries. So we currently, in an intake, will have students in an engineering background, a business background, a marketing background, a public service background, an education background, a health background, a legal background. So that is part of the joy, and that is part of the, I guess, magic of what makes these cohorts so strong. But it does mean that it's not always obvious what the career might be. It might not be obvious what the job might be. But we've had people move into change management roles, people move into digital transformation roles. As I said before, people starting their own businesses based on the research project that they undertook. Students moving into different leadership positions. So same industry, same career, but just moving up the ladder, so to speak. Students, moving into AI. Obviously, that's the hot topic of the year, or the last couple of years. But AI, all sorts of different things. It's a really because our programs are not discipline specific. The Master of Contemporary Education is slightly different, and that is aimed at educators. But again, that doesn't mean you have to be a teacher. You could be working in learning and development. You could be an educator in a museum or a zoo, or an early childhood educator or a tertiary teacher. So it really is a combination of what they want to focus on in their project and what they have done before that would then help determine what the outcome might be. If people want to go on to further study after, rather, keep going and further study, we can, provide support for doctorate level study. We currently don't have a doctorate, but we have been successful in getting, admittedly at this point, only domestic students, but international students are only just graduating from our programs into doctorate programs at other universities. So there is a pathway to further study if that was of interest to anybody.
Perfect. And I also want to understand from the student point of view that how AcademyEx plays themselves in terms of university, because a student think that only studying from university is going to add real value to their profile. So how does AcademyEx programs are distinguished with the university offerings?
Yes, so this is a bit of a tricky question to answer, but essentially universities in New Zealand are their own unique category, but every qualification delivered, every master's qualification delivered in New Zealand is the same level. So the level of study that people are doing, the expectations of what makes master's level study, the expectations of what graduates will achieve is standard, no matter what kind of organization you study with. I guess where AcademyEx fits is it's not really necessarily in competition with the university. It's just a different way of learning. It's a different approach, a different kind of environment, a different space. And so it will suit different types of students. Some students, a university environment will be exactly where they will thrive. It's exactly kind of the space that they find useful and that they find valuable. And then other students who want to do learning a little bit differently, who want to really kind of dive deep, as Asta said, into some practical impact-driven work. Not to say you can't do that in a university either, but it just looks different. Universities have a legacy, they have a long history, they have reputation, they have all of that type of thing, which AcademyEx is 13 years old in a couple of months. So we don't have the long legacy, we don't have the long history, but we have a unique and different way of doing things, which appeals to some students and they enjoy themselves and have lots of success. But universities might also equally be of value to other students. So not one or the other, but it depends on the student and what they want to achieve.
Yeah, if to summarize, it depends upon what the student needs are and what the kind of learning outcome they are looking for. And based on choose which one they want to opt for. Perfectly in line.
Yeah, so I've worked in the university before coming to AcademyEx, and there are some students that I would have seen in the university where a different approach probably would have helped them. And there are some students I see here who, they could have been successful in the university as well, but they wanted to do something different. So it's just no one is better or worse than the other. It's just a different way of doing things.
Amazing, amazing. Now let's shift a little bit towards thinking from the student point of view. Now, what kind of academic and emotional support is available for international student, and how AcademyEx helps student into transiting into the New Zealand work environment, because work environment in India or subcontinent is different than in New Zealand. So how you guys help prepare the student from transitioning from Indian way of working to New Zealand job market?
Yeah, so I can give a quick overview and then Asta probably has some practical experience. So from an academic perspective, there is a lot of academic support. So that comes from the program teams as well as cross-organizational academic workshops. So we run them on referencing the library, writing, giving presentations, using AI and research, critical thinking, ethics, all those types of academic workshops are all run. We have relatively small cohorts, so cohorts are usually 30 students. So we know every single one of our students. They're in the same space as us as staff. They hang out with us at lunchtime. They're in the same space. And so there's lots of opportunities for academic support. In terms of emotional support and pastoral care, we are obviously signatories to the Tertiary Code of Practice. And so there are lots of opportunities as well. We have a student support manager, and she is a primary contact person for anybody needing pastoral care or additional support. We have the ability to be able to refer students onto an external provider if they need a bit more support than what we are able to provide. And then lots of online resources and things that we share with students as well that can help them when they're navigating some of those trickier times. We know master's study is hard. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And so there will always be, it's a roller coaster. There will always be ups and downs, but I guess there are always people around to support. In terms of employment support, we provide opportunities for students to attend a couple of workshops, which are delivered by a lovely lady who works exactly in that space around supporting international students and other migrants settling in New Zealand, trying to find themselves or find their way in the New Zealand employment labour market. So there are opportunities for students to attend workshops to learn how does employment work in New Zealand? What does all that kind of stuff look like? We will, indicate to students where some of the places are that you can look for jobs, some of the websites and things like that you can look for jobs. We have a really wide network of people here at AcademyEx as well, so where opportunities arise, we always share them with the students. There is a series of pre-departure workshops. So before the international student leaves their home country, there's a series of workshops and calls for them to get to know us and get to know the team. One of the most important foundations of effective education is relationships, and really strong relationships between students and other students and staff. And so we do a lot of work in that space to get people feeling comfortable to be able to reach out for support and ask questions. So there's a few students where we've supported them with references and things like that as well, but obviously that can be a little bit tricky for us sometimes when we haven't known you for that long. So all sorts of different ways. There's probably sometimes it feels like, oh, which person do I ask? Where do I go? But everyone's super friendly and just really happy to help students settle in.
Amazing. That's the kind of warmth New Zealand is known for, and I'm really helpful that thankful that you guys have all these amazing people around who can help the student, like taking care of the student. Amazing. Thank you for that. Now, moving on to the real outcomes. Like, can you please share the success story of any international student whom you have encountered, and if you can help the other people understand that what did they study, what kind of roles they are into, and things like that. Any success story you want to share?
Yeah, so maybe Asta and I can share one story each. Hopefully we don't have the same student in mind. But one of our international students graduated from the Master of Technological Futures earlier this year. He came from a pharmaceutical background. He'd worked in pharmaceuticals. He was from the Philippines, and he came in with a real desire to understand the role technology could play in the kind of medical health type industry. And so he did a project that was specifically around medicine and technology, in particular, if I remember correctly, audiology. And so he came up with his solution, and he's now here in New Zealand on a post-study work visa, working in that space. He also was very successful throughout his program in the employment that he worked while he was here. So he had a job that was part of what we have here in New Zealand called the Internet of Things Alliance, and he was kind of a community engagement type of role. So he got to make lots and lots of connections and meet lots and lots of people. So yeah, that's one example, but I'm sure Asta probably has another one that she can share.
Yeah, just because Haley has already shared something about Masters of Technological Futures, and I'll just switch to the other one, which is Masters of Change and Organizational Resilience. So we've seen like a huge number of applications coming in for Masters of Change and Organizational Resilience, and people would ask us what kind of roles they can look at. From international point of view, something I've seen that is very successful is HR professionals. We've seen HR professionals join from different parts of the world, and this particular student again is from Philippines. They come from HR background, worked in Middle East for a little while, and then joined Masters of Change in Organizational Resilience. While they were in program, they got a full-time job offer, and they started working full-time as well. And so from HR background, they moved into HR in New Zealand as well. So it wasn't much of a career change, but just upskilling themselves and getting into the same space with more knowledge and expertise and just implement new changes.
Perfect. Amazing. So, because I also feel that if you are not working like full-time 40 hours, but even if you are working 20 hours and you have the opportunity to fill in whenever the need arises, that gives the employer the assurance that, okay, this person is available when we need them. And once you complete the course, you understand the organization, it's very easy for you to get into a full-time role as well. So that is quite amazing what this course has to offer. Now, I've got a question from the audience, and he says, I have international work experience in finance, 8.5 years. Did not complete bachelor's. I have Duolingo, which is 150. I'm trying to apply for master's directly without a pathway program. Is that possible? So, do you guys also accept Duolingo?
No, not
Okay.
for an English language test, no. In terms of not having a bachelor's degree, that's okay, definitely can apply. 8.5 years in finance, well, depending on the roles and the type of work that was being done, that's what we would assess via our equivalence pathway. So we would request documentation like CV, references from past employers, job descriptions, and any other, I guess, evidence of the work that the student has been doing. And then we would assess it via equivalence. So they would need one of the approved English language tests that is on the New Zealand Qualifications Authority website. IELTS and PTE are just two examples. There are others as well, but those are the two most common ones.
All right. I'll just look if do we have more questions? Okay, so let's do a small rapid fire. So whatever comes to your mind as soon as I ask the question, just shoot any one of you. That's cool?
Yep, all good.
All right. So one word that defines AcademyEx.
Unique.
Innovative.
So unique and
Innovative.
innovative. Perfect. Next is best time of year to be in New Zealand as a student.
I would say
Summer.
October.
Summer. Not now, it's cold.
Yeah.
A lot of our international students are definitely realizing that it's very cold here in New Zealand in winter.
Yeah.
So summer, which is roughly October, November, December, January, February if we're lucky.
All right. Perfect. So summer is the best. Perfect. Coffee,
Unless you like the cold and snow.
Yeah.
then you can go to Mount Rupehu for skiing.
Yeah.
True.
Amazing. Coffee or tea while reviewing student application? Which one you prefer?
Coffee.
I don't drink either, so neither.
Water for Haley.
Amazing. One skill every master student must have.
I would say they have to be inquisitive. They have to have that ability to think out of the box, which is very important. It's
I
not
was
one
going
word.
to say, yeah, I was going to say the same thing, but I'll say something different. The ability to think critically.
So inquisitive and critical thinking so that you can fulfill your research papers.
Yeah.
Amazing. Most underrated course at AcademyEx.
I think all programs are popular. I wouldn't call any program underrated.
Yeah, agree. They're all equally as popular depending on what the student wants to achieve.
All right. And next is AI in education, blessing or threat?
Blessing.
Yeah, blessing. When used correctly.
True. Definitely don't use it on scholarship application. We find out when you use AI.
Amazing. Scholarship tip in one line.
Be yourself. Like, be authentic when you answer the questions. Just be you.
I'll go with that. I second with Haley on that one.
So this when you do the interview, is it on the Zoom or over the call? How is the interview which take place?
Yeah, so interviews will be via Zoom, online, with either us or one of the academic faculty, but all online or video call.
Perfect. Perfect. I think that's pretty much all which we wanted to cover. If you guys have anything you want to add, what students should be aware about, the things what they need to take care of while applying to the college admission and probably after getting the admission, any advice you would have for the students?
I can just add a couple of lines here, if that's okay. I would recommend if any student is interested in our program, I would recommend going through our programs and understanding how the programs are different and how learners, they have to take ownership of the program, because these are the programs where they'll end up working on research projects, collaborating with our domestic and international learners who come with multiple years of work experience. Not just that, also working alongside our industry advisors who bring real world experience. So it is a place where they have to be passionate, they have to take ownership, they have to give self-directed learning hours to the program. So they have to be dedicated. Before they apply, or once they apply, I would strongly recommend going through the program details, or maybe going through our website, or maybe connecting with our current students alumni over LinkedIn or other social media platforms to find out more.
Yeah, I would just add to that and just say, yeah, there's a lot of information online. Have a look, see what you think. But if you've got questions, just reach out and just ask. You might never know if you don't ask, and we're more than happy to answer questions. We can answer them via email, or if it makes more sense to jump on a call, there's a number of us that could do that. So just ask questions, and that goes not just during the enrollment and application process, but the entire way through the study. There's no point kind of wondering. It's always better to ask.
Amazing, it's very nice of you guys to help international students change their lives from their home country to the country they are going to be their new home country. So thank you for extending so much support, so much care about them, and being available while they want all this help. I'm very grateful to you, and I think that's all from today's session. We can connect again later on in the future once we have more students. And thank you for doing this. I'm very grateful to you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Chuck.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Take care.
you.
You too. See you later.
Yourself warm in the cold weather. Bye.